This is Coach Jaron with Objective Thinking, where we use math and logic to debunk lies and prove LeBron James is the GOAT. The producer who made the video I'm rebutting is obviously a Michael Jordan homer, trying to prove how easy it is for LeBron to score compared to MJ.
The game in Europe is way harder than the game in the NBA. And I don't want to disrespect the talent. Obviously, in the NBA, it's way higher. But the space is just...
Scoring is easier in NBA just because of the amount of the different rules, the less space, the time. So that's why I said it.
So you think it's harder to score 30 points in a EuroLeague game than it is in an NBA game?
Yeah, 100%.
You have a lot of lanes to drive the ball, a lot of lanes to create. It's just, I think over there is more intense. Like people pick you up full court, double team you, full court zone, to man to the last 5 second double teams from the start from zone, and then they go man to man the last 10 seconds, and then the double team you in the post. There's no lanes to drive. Like it's just the more physical.
Because the guy can stay. If you have a guy like, let's say, Rudy Gobert, he can stay in the paint on defense 3 seconds, however he wants. Like, just because of that rule, you can have 10 more points easily.
Okay, think of the last thing that Luka just said. Because the international game has no defensive 3-second rule, you can score 10 more points easy. That's just not true. Listen to this. In 2023, Luka averaged 32 points per game in the NBA, which means in international games he would only average 22, right? Since it's 10 points harder to score in international games because there is no defensive 3-second rule. Actually, in 2023 FIBA World Cup, he averaged 30 points per game, not 22. It's true. Luka scored more points per game in the NBA. I mean, 32 is more than 30. But those numbers don't tell the whole story. The international game only has 40 minutes compared to the NBA's 48. Players usually play less minutes in international games. What does that mean? It means he lied. The only logical way to compare scoring is to compare points per minute. Of course he is going to score less playing less minutes. In the NBA, Luka played 36 minutes per game, and in Europe, he averaged only 31. Doing the math with equal playing time, he would have averaged 35 points per game internationally, which is 3 points more per game than he averaged in the NBA. Again, logically, that means it's easier to score points in international play than it is in the NBA. Now for Giannis's numbers. This year, Giannis averaged 30 points in 35 minutes per game in the NBA. In the FIBA World Cup, he averaged 33 points in only 34 minutes. He actually scored more points per game without even taking into consideration the fact that he played more minutes in the NBA. He is an even bigger liar. Listen, NBA players don't always tell the truth. They have agendas. You're stupid if you don't think so. You can't believe everything they say.
The NBA in 2022 thrives off high-powered offenses, transition baskets, and most of all, long-distance three-pointers. This era we're in right now is the most high-powered offensive era since the early 1970s. And if you look at last year, teams were averaging nearly 111 points per game on 88 shots, 35 threes per game with a pace of 98.2. When it comes to the NBA in 2022, we're definitely not lacking scorers, shooters, or great offensive talents. But if you compare those numbers to only a decade prior in 2012, they're starkly different. And if you go back to the late 90s, it's not even comparable. So the question I ask, how in a 25-year time period has the NBA changed so drastically?
The answer is simple. Because players are so much better offensively today. They have better handles, more moves, and they can all make shots from farther. way farther.
I could blame the players, the Golden State Warriors, the Houston Rockets, or even the coaches. But the real culprit and the real reason offense has gotten out of control is due to Adam Silver, Mark Tatum, and any member of the quote-unquote competition committee. As those people in particular are responsible for basketball in 2022, the way it's played, and why a lot of players say it's easier to score here than in Europe.
But it's really not easier, it's harder. I already proved with their own numbers that Luka and Giannis are full of it.
Yes, the NBA has better talent, but over in Europe, the rules are 100% more balanced, and the defense is actually empowered. And looking at someone like Kobe, back in 2016, he was a big critic of modern day basketball, saying current day players were soft like Charmin, the product was watered down, hand checking and physicality need to be brought back, and cheap bump fouls and bait fouls need to be eliminated from the game to make the product better.
Now Kobe, may he rest in peace, and may God bless his family in his absence, can have his opinion, but that doesn't make it true. Again, NBA players say things that aren't true all the time. They have their own agendas.
And to Adam Silver's credit, for about a month stretch last year, he let the refs call the game like they do in Europe. There was no cheap fouls, no bump fouls, and a lot of superstars weren't getting to the line nearly as much. And looking at players like Dame Lillard, Trae Young, and especially James Harden, their overall games were completely changed due to the new rules. And by early November, all three of those guys were complaining about the refs as well as missed fouls. And you can call it a coincidence, but all those guys were playing subpar basketball before they complained. Dame Lillard only averaging 19 points on sub-40 shooting with a low of 3.2 free throws per game. Look at someone like James Harden, he only averaged 18 points per game on 41% shooting with 4.7 free throw attempts. And Trae Young, who averaged 24 a game on 43% shooting with 5.3 free throws. Maybe it was early season struggles, but I do find it very interesting when the NBA tweaked their rules just a little bit, you saw superstars complaining, their efficiency going down, and their free throws being split in half. And looking back at the 1990s, I think that decade in particular was the best defensive era in NBA history. As during that time period, you could play physical, you could run zones, you could double team, triple team, run box and ones, and most importantly, in the paint, you could stay there for 3 seconds. When I say that era had better defense, I'm not downplaying modern day players, but I think it is pretty clear players back in the day were more empowered defensively and quite frankly allowed to get away with more.
I can tell this guy is young and doesn't understand the defensive rules of the 90s in the NBA because they couldn't do whatever they wanted. Illegal defense was called all the time during the games in that era. This is the 1998 NBA Finals Game 6. Watch how illegal defense is called in consecutive trips down the floor.
With Isley in now for Stockton.
Harper right now is on Malone. An illegal defense is called against Chicago.
Doug, I think they should have started Antoine Carr. That center position is a revolving door for them with Ostertag and Foster, and it was important for them to get off to a good start. Now they've buried themselves and find themselves in a big hole.
Ostertag and Foster have given them nothing in this series. Good pass from Malone inside to Hornacek, who converts it. That's why their lack of scoring at center is why they were interested in Ronnie Cycli and tried to get him from Orlando in a trade that eventually was voided. Jordan over Russell. Rebound to Carr, who immediately makes his presence felt.
Michael Jordan's illegal now, so the Bulls are all running around.
And it's their second illegal defense, which will result in a technical foul shot being taken.
No, defenses weren't empowered. Players just weren't as good offensively. MJ homers have to say that time period was harder. To argue MJ is the GOAT, since there are lots of players today who are as offensively gifted as he was. They just don't want to admit both the players and the game itself are both better today than ever. They're missing out by not enjoying the greatness of today's NBA.
Someone like a Drew Holiday, Kawhi Leonard, a Marcus Smart, and Andrew Wiggins, defensively, they would thrive in the 90s with the better defensive rules. And unfortunately for them, they play in an era that is heavily offensively focused. Even looking at Kobe's era in the 2000s, after hand-checking was banned, that defense still was far superior to modern-day defense. I'm not saying Adam Silver has to overhaul the entire league, but if you watch a lot of games, teams from day to day aren't playing tough defense, the fouls are just cheap, the refs have no backbone, and that playoff vibe is not there for 90% of games.
I do watch a lot of games, and I couldn't disagree more. Today's defense is the best ever because the athletes are the best ever. The play in the NBA is awesome, I repeat. If you're not watching today's basketball, you're missing out on greatness. I'm willing to break down any games of the different eras with anyone to prove that that's right.
And looking back at Luka Doncic, as a rookie, he quite frankly said it was easier to score in the NBA. And looking at his stats in 2018, with Real Madrid, he averaged 12.8, and the following year in Dallas, averaged 21.2 as a rookie. Did Luka in a 6-month period get drastically better, or was it the rules and the playstyle of the NBA that drastically impacted his numbers? I happen to believe it's the latter.
You're wrong in your thinking. As a coach, I have seen many players improve that much over a year when they're young. First off, you fudged the numbers. He did average 13 points in the Spanish League season, but he averaged 16 points in the EuroLeague season that same year. I mean, to improve 5 points from 16 to 21 in his first year in the NBA is not that big a jump. Heck, he made an even bigger jump between his first and second year in the NBA with an 8-point increase going from 21 to 29 points. Like I said, young players improve a lot as they mature. I mean, you have to remember, he was only 19 in 2018.
And looking at Nikola Jokic, he also said very similar things to Luka, as well as Giannis, when it came to NBA versus European basketball. And the one thing he did highlight was the 3 in the key rule that is not in the EuroLeague.
The floor is smaller. The big man can be in a paint. The floor, the 3-point is lie short, so even that is kind of everything. And is it harder? Yes, just because I think you need to really think about it, and really you need to have really quick thinking. Let's say like that. I think in NBA, if you go by the guy, you can see the help is coming. In Europe, is like if you go by the help is already there. So you need.
Okay, now for Jokic's numbers. In 2023, he scored 25 points, playing 34 minutes per game in the NBA. In the 2023 FIBA World Cup, he averaged 27 points, playing only 28 minutes per game. I mean, comparing equal minutes, the math says not only did he score more points per game internationally, but if we compare the minutes, it was a whopping 8 points more per game than in the NBA. He lied even more than the others.
And for me personally, I think this rule is the difference between European basketball and American basketball. As zone defense in the NBA is not entirely a real zone. You can have 1 foot in the paint for 3 seconds, but you can't camp there and play a real 3-2, a 2-3, or even a 1-3-1.
You've never watched international basketball, have you? They don't play zone defense like you think, nor could they in the 90s. Nothing you or the players have said is a reality. Let's watch the first quarter of Jokic and Giannis in a World Cup game between Serbia and Greece in 2023. I want you to watch the first quarter so you can see I'm not just picking out clips to show what I want you to see, which is what MJ homers do.
Anticipation at fever pitch. We are underway. And Serbia with Vasilija start with the ball. Vladimir Lucic, talisman of Bayern Munich, arriving into this roster as well. Jokic, so much gravity, draws defenders to him before kicking back for a miss. Offensive rebound though for Serbia. Mitsic, that's his spot in this arena. And the last time he was here, it came right at the end of the game.
Do you see anybody in the middle of the court underneath the basket waiting for him? Because I sure don't.
And a huge semi-final. Picked off by Kalinic. Intercepted though by Giannis. Now get out of the way as he hangs it high for his brother Kostas Antetokounmpo to do the rest. What a way to set the tone for the Antetokounmpo.
Once again, there's nobody under the basket waiting for him to drive. I mean, this 3-second rule exists, but it doesn't really get used because of the way offensive play today.
Rose. Mitsic, guarded by Kostas. Jokic over the top of Calathes. That's a big mismatch on the interior. 2'11" Jokic against 198 point guard Calathes.
Again, where's the person in the middle waiting for this pass to Giannis to stop him?
His pass though inside. And the two superstars are trading blows already. Giannis trying to bring down the rack. Mitsic working with Jokic. Getting to the basket.
Oh, wow. There was somebody at the basket waiting for him on that one. I don't know how he even did the layup.
Scoring past Calathes. Serbia by 3. Calathes to shoot the 3. Not really his game, and he misses the first. He'll link up with Dimitris Itoudis, of course, at Fenerbahce for the new season. A huge signing for the Turks. Nikola Jokic.
There goes Giannis stepping out of the lane, even though he can be there 3 seconds, because he has to get closer to the big man out at the three-point line because he doesn't want to give up that shot.
Towards the double team. Kalinic. Mitsic from the corner this time. Got it and one. This is Vasilija Mitsic's house. He's 3 of 3 from the field, 2 of 2 from downtown, and 1 of 1 at the line. 9 points in 2 and a bit minutes. Serbia lead by 7. Calathes passed inside. It's Giannis to Kostas again. Pure Antetokounmpo.
Once again, there's nobody in the middle. I mean, this is just a myth. What makes this so much harder?
Kumpo power. Lucic turning it on. Lovely pass, and then
the guy went to help, and it turned into a layup.
Composure in the paint from Marinkovic to do the rest. Serbia by 7 again. Giannis drifts towards the baseline, misses. Big cheer from this Serbian crowd as Giannis shows he's human. The NBA MVP in 2019 and 2020 before Serbia's Nikola Jokic took the award off him the last 2 seasons. Micic.
Oh, you mean Giannis standing there is the one in the middle that's going to stop him?
Chants of MVP reverberate around the Stark Arena for this man, but it's the former MVP who comes down the
That was definitely harder than the NBA.
floor and brings the thunder. The Greek freak on a streak and hitting Serbia hard. Turnover, but they get it back. Jokic. Hotly contested shot. And Calathes, look out! The Greek god to the heavens again. Calathes lit the fuse. Giannis detonated the dunk in style.
Where's this player in the middle again that's waiting for him at the basket? I mean, I can do this the whole game. You'll see. I'm going to let it play, but I just want you to notice how that really isn't the case, and you haven't seen one defensive zone up to this point.
Blocked off. Greece doing a good job on defense now. And Giannis this time doing a good job of facilitating for Tyler Dorsey. Dorsey, who is on the wrong side of that Micic three here in the EuroLeague semi-final, playing for Olympiacos, has since signed for the Dallas Mavericks. It's a one-point game. This is pure quality. Vanja Marinkovic's second score. Giannis to the far side. Here is Dorsey, a dagger of his own to tie Greece level from 7 down. Jokic. NBA stars on show. This is like an NBA game. 17-15 after 5 minutes. Calathes to slow it down and dictate the tempo. Hearing whistles and jeers from this scintillating Serbian crowd. 3-point shot for Greece to take the lead from 7 down. And to pile the pressure on Svetislav Pesic and his team. The Greek captain, Kostas Papanikolaou.
I can't help myself. Where is the person in the middle? Are you talking this guy that's outside? I mean, give me a break. What are they talking about?
Lucic to Jokic. 3-point shot, good for Marinkovic. $20 points for Serbia within the first 6 minutes. Calathes misses. Now Gravanis back to Calathes. Directing traffic from deep. Dorsey desperately trying to get free on the perimeter. Calathes goes the other way. Draws the attention of the defense. Dorsey past Lucic. Nowhere near. As Vasilija Micic fairly closed out the light in front of him. And a grimace on the face of Vladimir Lucic as they fail to catch Greece out. It's 4 assists. Deep to Dorsey. Dorsey wants to go one-on-one with Marinkovic. Misses over the top of him. Micic the rebound. A couple of seasons ago, and then had a bad injury last season that he came back from.
Nobody's in the middle.
Guduric in as well, hands it off to Micic. Micic on the left-hand dribble, trying to find Milutinov, and he wriggles free against 2 to score. Serbia by 4, approaching the final 3 minutes of the first. Dorsey off to Giannis. Giannis looks to show a bit of range, pulls up for the long 2 over the top of Milutinov. Well, he's catching Mitsic up in terms of the game's leading scorer now. 8 points for Giannis. Some remarkable numbers when we've only played 7 minutes.
Wide open.
Milutinov hands it off this time. On the perimeter, really tough underarm scoop. No foul as he looks around at the baseline official. And travelling coast to coast with power and purpose goes Giannis to draw the foul. And the first of those years that tonight's opponents, Nikola Jokic, took.
Okay, Giannis shoots 2 free throws, and then he and Jokic set out for the rest of the quarter. So let me ask you this. How many zone defenses did you see during that quarter? Okay, how about how many defensive 3 seconds did you see? Yes, that would be 0. They just don't stay in the lane like that. Now, if you want to watch the whole game to see that it's the same stuff the whole time, I have included the link in the description.
If you eliminate 3 seconds and you have a big park in the paint for unlimited time, that cuts off driving lanes, impacts shooters, impacts kickouts. It makes help defense easier. When a player attacks the rim, they are guaranteed to meet someone at the basket. And going full circle with this, looking back at the 90s, having Akeem, Dikembe, Alonzo Mourning, Shaq, having those guys parked in the paint undoubtedly made scoring harder. And still, looking at current day players, when they say going overseas it's harder to score, under FIBA rules, that's a big indictment on today's NBA. And most of all, it gives context to past eras in the 90s as well as the 2000s. As stats-wise, it's 100% proven those eras were tougher.
True, it was harder to get stats, but that's because of pace of play and players being worse shooters from distance, not because of better defense.
Look at overall pace. In the top 10 slowest paced years ever, 3 of those years are the 1990s, 6 are from the 2000s, and 1 from the 2010s. If you go back and watch all those eras in 01, 2012, in the late 90s, the paint during those time periods was clogged and completely out of whack. And when it comes to spacing, driving the paint, getting to the rim, it was undeniably harder back in that era. Not just due to the players, but the rules, as well as there being no 3 seconds. So to wrap this video up, I'll say one last thing. Looking at players like Jordan, Kobe, Allen Iverson, great wing scorers of the past, when you look at their numbers, just remember their eras were harder and defensively 10 times better.
Okay, what he said is a joke, just like most of this video. The defenses were 10 times better. What? I mean, that's an absurd hyperbole. Think about it. If that were true, they would score 10 times fewer points. That's only 11 points a game. This guy's conclusions are whacked.
And when you look at players in 2022, dropping 30, 25, even 20, it's a verifiable fact it's easier to get those stats in today's league. Ask Dame Lillard, ask Jokic, Giannis, even Luka. All those guys will say overseas basketball is harder to score than the NBA.
Already proved that's a lie. In conclusion, European basketball is not way harder than the NBA. The numbers show that is an absolute joke and that Luka, Giannis, and Jokic lied. Also, do your research. Defenses were not empowered in the 90s and 2000s. Illegal defensive rules made sure of that. Today's players are just better. Plain and simple. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to see more truth. Thanks for watching. Until next time.